besides the wealth of knowledge on the LLS website, a mouthful there, how important is family in dealing with something like this, being open and being able to talk about what you need to talk about when you want to talk about it?
Tremendously important. I had such a wonderful support system, especially my husband, and you just, I mean, I think a lot of times it is harder on the caretakers, and LLS has resources for them as well, but I think it's so important, and I think a lot of things for my family, it was important for them to come see me. You hear the word cancer, and if you haven't had exposure to cancer, you think, well, this person's gonna die. You know, cancer is lethal. And so for a lot of my family members that were out of state at the time, it was really important and good for them to come see me personally and go to my treatments with me and to kind of understand it better themselves and maybe not be as scared of it.
And we touched on that special person who's in our control room right now. Talk about her.
Stella. Well, I was originally diagnosed in 2004 and then had a relapse in 2005. And in 2005, I had a stem cell transplant, an autologous stem cells transplant, which means they were able to use my own stem cells. The toxicity of the chemotherapy forces a lot of women to go into menopause. And so I was told I would not be able to have children. So, you know, after a few years of getting my body back together and being cancer-free, we adopted Stella as a newborn in November of 2009. And, you know, it's one of those things where it's not a road we would have chosen to go down, but we're so glad we went down it because we wouldn't have her, and she's our everything.
Debbie, we look on the desk here, and the first thing I looked at is how can I get involved? What can I do? What can the average person like myself do to become involved? Is it come out and help support in ways of being in the marathons and the triathlons and all that kind of stuff, or is it donating money? Or is it both? A little bit of everything?
Well, I think it's whatever a donor can do. And, you know, we have different campaigns that raise money throughout the year, which is Team in Training, Light the Night, that you know, we're so glad that you do support that, Man or Woman of the Year, and then Pennies for Patients, which is basically kids raising money for kids. And that helps us do all of our programming throughout the year. So whether someone says, you know what, I don't want to run 13 or 26 miles, but I'll sure write a check, you know, we welcome that as well. So it's, you know, however someone wants to get involved, we do have a lot of volunteers that help at events. Maybe they don't have the financial means to do donations, but we certainly need them at water stations for Team in Training or something like that. So, you know, I think we also have a lot of help at the office as well, so people can get involved and volunteer. So I just think it's, you know, whatever one wants to do in their heart to help and give back to this community, because that's the only way that we're going to cure this.
The Team in Training, explain what that is. I've been on the website, I've looked, I've got some things jotted down. I've already started training for a couple of things that are coming up in 2013.
Yes. Immediately
when I found out about this, and I thought that's what, you know, I put my efforts into that.
Right.
Talk about what that whole concept means.
It's actually the largest endurance sports program in the United States and Canada right now. And basically they're certified coaches that will help you either walk or run or swim or cycle or hike to better health. It's a whole wellness program, but also it's for a great cause and helps our mission and funds our mission. And you know, there's local events as well as you could do a marathon anywhere in the world basically. I mean, we're going to Vancouver, we're going to Paris. So you know, I just think it's, once again, we have a whole menu of opportunities for donors to get involved in.
Yeah, I saw it on the website, the Paris trip. And
yes, yes.
I am looking for the April half marathon and the May triathlon in Colombia.
Yes.
Is it the Mizzou? I wrote it down, what the exact name of it is. But those are the two I'm gunning for.
Yes. So
you'll see me there. As far as other events that might be coming up over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months that people can get involved in?
Absolutely. We do have a Man and Woman of the Year campaign, and basically it's, I always say, Randy, what can one person do to change the world? And you know, this campaign is you raise money for the Boy and Girl of the Year. And I think that it's a selfless campaign that, you know, you're trying to raise money, and it's a 10-week campaign. It's really exciting. We end up at the Ritz with the grand finale. It's a secret ballot. I mean, it's a huge excitement piece. But and then also, if anyone has kids in school or scouts or anyone else, you know, the Pennies for Patients, where kids are actually raising money for kids as a whole, you know, that's also throughout the next, you know, the school year. So once again, we transcend generations, whether it's in you know, in the cancer spectrum, but also in, you know, on our donor base.
Do you find that once people become involved, that they become very passionate about the cause, and you almost can't get rid of them?
Well, and I think too, I think people then understand, and it hits home with them, because I didn't know my great aunt died of leukemia until I asked, you know, after my dad died, anybody else in the family? And I think that people thought people just died of cancer, and I think it's smart, and you know, that we're bringing awareness to this. And I think that I know the whole thing with breast cancer. Instead of just saying they have breast cancer, they're going to start looking at identifying what kind of cancer in breast cancer, so that, you know, everyone has their unique therapies to treat them, not just because not all therapies are going to be working on every blood cancer patient, lymphoma patient, or breast cancer patient. So, you know, I think that we're making great strides and advancements that will be used across cancers.
I want to keep the show on a very positive, uplifting type note, but Jamie, is it something that's always in the back of your mind that, you know, this could come back?
I would say at certain points in my life it has been. You know, when you are, you know, in remission, you are still going to the doctors and still having a lot of scans, like I said, for 5 years after you've been cured of the disease. So, you know, and the scans get further out, the more time that passes, and it's, you know, 1 scan a year instead of every 3 months. And, you know, I always got a little nervous going to get my scans, but, you know, I don't really dwell on it too much anymore. I look at it as an experience that I don't want to do again, but it definitely made me a stronger person and definitely blessed my family.
As far as what you went through, now you're involved in this society. How important is that to you, per se, for the healing process, to be out there putting this message out to other people that you can survive this?
It's really important, because I think that that's what somebody who is newly diagnosed needs to hear. They need to hear as many success stories as possible, and as much positive reinforcement as possible. So as much as I can, with my 2-year-old in tow, we, you know, we'll go up to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society office and help out. And that's another great thing about it, is they're very accommodating to however little or much you can give of your time. And so, like I said, my 2-year-old and I go up to the office, and they find stuff for us to do, and they're very accommodating.
On a very positive note, the first thing when you go to the website, as it flashes across, it talks about, since 1960, the cure rate double, triple, and quadruple. Immediately, that showed me that the results are happening. And I think anybody who's been diagnosed with this can look at that and go, wow, you know, we're at 90%, 80, 90% cure rate for this. That's very impressive.
It's huge, and I think that so many times you say, someday we'll cure cancer. Well, someday is today, and that's what we hang our hat on, and we're excited about, and we continue to work for. So, you know, one day, please put me out of business. That's what I would love. So until that day, though, we're here for the patients and their families.
How rewarding is it for you and your staff to know that when you go to bed at night, you've helped so many people day after day after day?
Well, I think, you know, it's a good tired. I think, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I just can't stop until we do find a cure. But I think, once again, you know, it's a good tired, and you feel like you really accomplished something huge. And the patients that we work with, the families, are so appreciative of everything that we're doing, that that's really makes it wonderful for me, and as well as for our staff as well. So
now there's many different chapters. People
Yes.
in Illinois can see this show, and you know, Jefferson County, but
Yes.
you can go to the Gateway chapter or any other chapter across the country. Is everything under basically a national umbrella, and then
Yes.
broke it down into local?
it is. There's actually, our national office is in New York, and we're all under the same umbrella of finding a cure for blood cancers and supporting the families and patients and educating. But we actually have 61 chapters, and the Gateway chapter is one of those.
If someone wants to become involved, go ahead and give us the website and the phone number and how they can find out more information.
LLS.org, and then you can / and then you have GAT for the Gateway chapter. So it's LLS.org/GAT.
What a phone number?
Sure, 314-660-9956. That's my cell, and I'll talk to anybody.
Sounds good. And Jamie, as we start to wrap this show up today, first of all, we appreciate your time and coming on the show and being very open about this. But your advice to anybody who might catch this show this week and say, I'm going through this right now, I just found out yesterday or the day before.
I would just reiterate what Debbie said, is it has been cured and it will continue to be cured. And one thing that I love about the LLS's motto is, and their cause, is that they are improving the quality of life as well. So that's something to look at as well. As a lot of, you know, cancer drugs are able to cure it, but, you know, improving the quality of life, meaning you can cure it and then live a healthy, happy life afterwards and not have to look back.
And we've talked about many different events on the show here today. There's different events throughout the year. As we wrap the show up, we want and encourage everyone to become involved. What's the next few things down the road here?
Once again, it's Man and Woman of the Year. You can start joining a team for team and training. You can also start revving up for Light the Night, which will be next September, and then get your kids involved with Pennies for Patients. But whatever you want to do, just call us, because we will find a little nook or niche for whatever we need, and you know, would satisfy that donor as well. So just call us. We're there for you.
One more time, the website and the phone number they can call as we wrap up the show.
Sure, 314-660-9956, and it's just LLS.org/GAT.
Debbie, thank you so much for your time. We
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Randy.
And Jamie, best of luck. We appreciate your time here
Thank you.
on the show. Once again, we'd like to thank everybody for joining us here on News 20 on GTN. You have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow night.